Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some, well, truly fascinating ancient prophecies. We're looking at Elijah and the two witnesses, drawn directly from the source materials you've provided. Our mission, really, is to get a handle on a complex prophetic timeline and understand the key figures involved during what sounds like a period of intense tribulation.
Absolutely. And what's really insightful, I think, is how these sources weave together various biblical concepts.
Yeah.
They propose this crucial period. They call it the first half of the week.
The first half of the week, okay.
Yeah. And it's not presented as just some vague, time of trouble. It's framed as a central, very specific period of great tribulation, particularly for saints, explicitly lasting 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Right. That's 42 months or 1,260 days. And the sources, they also use that phrase a time, times and half a time. It lays out a really precise time frame.
Okay, so with that time frame, that first half of the week is our setting. Let's zero in on the main players during this period, according to the sources. What do they tell us about these two witnesses? And there's a connection to the 144,000.
The sources actually identified the two witnesses as being the same group as the 144,000. They're described as first fruits.
First fruits.
Yeah, and they're uniquely protected, nourished in what's called a wilderness place during this time. Now, just for context, while they're being protected, the material suggests that globally, beast worship and the infamous mark of the beast are being enforced.
Right, so it's a worldwide thing.
Exactly. A period of intense spiritual conflict across the board, not just local.
That's quite a picture. So, okay, this raises a big question then. Who are the adversaries in this scenario? During this first half of the week, how do the sources paint them?
Well, our sources offer a pretty striking interpretation here. They link the figure called the son of destruction, or the man of lawlessness, directly to that symbolic image of the Babylonian harlot riding the red beast.
And these texts, they specifically interpret this symbolism to mean a super Babylonian Roman papacy that takes control of world government.
Wow, okay. That's a very specific political and religious interpretation.
It is. It's a particular lens, focusing heavily on a specific power structure. The sources even state quite clearly that when this son of destruction figure sits in the temple,
that's the moment.
That's the precise moment the last week begins, according to this view.
Right. Now, building on that, one of the most compelling parts seems to be the role of the two witnesses themselves. What do the sources say about their actions, their powers, as they face this global adversary?
It's really quite dramatic. During this first half of the week, they aren't just passive. They're actively warning people against beast worship, and they're said to be preaching what the sources call the eternal gospel.
Okay.
But more than that, the material you shared describes them as having immense power, able to, quote, smash beast forces.
Smash beast forces,
Yep.
like physically. It sounds like it, yeah. The sources draw these direct parallels to the prophet Elijah. They point out how he historically shut up the sky for 3.5 years, remember, and destroyed false prophets. It suggests a similar kind of divine authority and, well, protective power.
So these sources aren't just telling a story. They're using history, like Elijah's actions, to explain the role of these figures.
Yeah.
How does that Elijah parallel extend to protecting the saints, then? You mentioned some are protected.
Exactly. It's a really crucial connection they make. Just like Elijah famously escaped famine in Zarephath.
Right.
Our sources use that event to symbolize the protection some saints receive. They're kept safe in a prepared place during this time. So you have this contrast. While many saints, sadly, face death from the beast during this tribulation, the texts are clear that others are explicitly protected, shielded by the two witnesses.
Okay, so a divine shield, almost.
In a way, yes. Elijah's victory over the false prophets is mirrored in the two witnesses pushing back against the beast forces. It's this stark picture of tribulation side by side with miraculous preservation.
But this intense period, this first half of the week, it doesn't just go on forever, right? The sources seem to point to a clear end.
That's right. As we reach the climax of this specific 3.5-year period, the material indicates a really dramatic shift. The son of destruction actually prevails over them.
He defeats them.
Defeats and kills the two witnesses. It's presented as a shocking climactic moment in this narrative.
Wow. Okay, so if we connect that to the bigger picture, the timing, what happens next right after the two witnesses are defeated? How does that affect the saints?
Yeah, the timing here is presented as incredibly important for the whole sequence. The sources emphasize that the first resurrection happens after the two witnesses are killed, but before the next stage, which is the pouring out of the even more severe 7 plagues.
Ah, okay, so there's a window.
Precisely. It means the saints described here are snatched up into the air at the sound of the seventh trumpet. This signifies the end of their tribulation, just as the really intense judgments are about to begin on the earth. It's a very specific sequence for judgment and salvation laid out in these texts.
What really stands out to me from this whole deep dive is just how intricately woven these prophecies are presented. It paints such a vivid picture of specific times, key players, these dramatic divine interventions, both quite harrowing and hopeful, really.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does this very precise sequencing, of tribulation, then protection, then resurrection, where suffering is so closely tied to these specific moments of divine rescue, how does that influence how you understand divine judgment and salvation? It certainly offers a compelling and incredibly detailed perspective to think about when looking at these ancient texts.